Miranda and welcome to Books 101. I've been tagged by Madison XOXO. She has an awesome channel doing everything from tags to book reviews to book hauls, literally everything. Go check her out to do the first and last tag. Originally created by Kimberly's Book Nook. I'll put both their links down below. This tag has 10 questions and each question has 2 parts to the question, first and one's last. Question number 1. What was the first video you posted and what was the last video you posted? The first video I posted was my booktube introduction, which I posted now would have been 2 months ago, nearly. Yeah, it was the first video I posted, and actually looking back at it now, I look so nervous. I was just like, hi, I'm Miranda and welcome to Books 101. I look so nervous. The last video I posted was my Looking for Alaska book tour. Who was the first booktuber you ever watched and who was the last booktuber you ever watched? And what was their video? The first booktuber I ever watched was Heather from the Bookables. I exactly remember the first video I watched from hers. I think it was one of her book talks. And the last booktuber I watched was Madison and her first and last tag. What was the first book you remember buying and the last book that you have bought? The first books I kind of remember buying were my Saddle Club books, which I sold on eBay a long time ago. I was 9, so before my tweenie stage. And yes, they were the first books I kind of remember buying. And the last book I bought is Every Day by David Levington, which looks really good. And I will talk more about this in my September book haul. What was the first novel you remember reading all by yourself? And what was the last novel that you read? The first novel I remember reading all by myself, so grown up, was Welcome to Dead House by R.L. Stine. I know! It's a goosebump book. And apparently this book now is really hard to find, so I'm so glad I have it. And to this day, I actually sometimes, read it and still enjoy it, even though I've read it heaps of times. The last book I read was The Shadow Year by Hannah Rochelle, which my boyfriend Matt bought for me for my birthday. And it is really good, and a book talk on this will be coming soon. Question number 5. What was the first dystopian novel you ever read, and what was the last dystopian novel that you read? My first ever dystopian novel that I read was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. They were kind of the first dystopian books I ever read. And my last dystopian book which I read, Immortal Rules and Return to Cure by Julie Kagawa, which awesome. What was the first paranormal romance you ever read? And what was the last? First paranormal romance that I read was Twilight. Oh my god. I can remember I was in year 6 and the Twilight movie just came out. And that started my whole craze for, Twilight and everything. And I was like, Mum, I have to get Twilight and everything. And she's like, no, you're not old enough to read it. I'm like, I bought it and read it anyway. And that was kind of my first paranormal romance, as well as Fallen series. That was 2. The last, and that was Existence by Abby Lyons. Good trilogy. Question number 7. What was the first book that made you cry, and what was the last? One of the first books that made me cry, I forgot which one it was, but it was in the Warriors series. I forgot the book, but it was the book where Cinder Powell was reincarnated. I remember I was sitting on my bed and boom, I had tears and I was like, Mum's like, you okay, Miranda? And I'm like, and I was just keeping on crying. The last book, Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Hell, I felt like I knew Augustus, and that just first entire series you completed and the last. The first series I completed is, like I said, in some of my Q&As and my tags, Jacqueline Wilson's Girls Out Late series, and the last I completed was the Existence trilogy by Abby Lyons. Question number 9. What was the first book you could not push yourself to finish, and what was the last? First book I could kind of not push myself to finish. The Horse and His Boy, Narnia Chronicles. Hated it. I don't really have a last book for that. I kind of try and push myself now just to at least get to the end. So I don't really have one for that. Who was the first person to tag in? Who was the last person to tag in? First ever person to tag me on YouTube, and from Magnificent Books, and she tagged me to do the Your Life in Books tag, and I can remember getting tagged for the first time thinking, oh my god, I got tagged. And I was so excited. And the last person to tag me, kind of have a couple of people that have tagged me kind of all in the one go. So I don't really have an answer for that one. I'd yet again love to thank Madison XOXO for tagging me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I tag anyone who wants to give this tag a go. And Miranda, thanks so much for watching. See ya.